Don't stress. Whatever you do, don't stress. It's not the end of the world. Okay, this is picking up on doughs. Some days you want quiche, some days you want a tart. Guys, I want to show you a few tips on rolling out and blind baking. So stick around. This is from a future video that I'm doing. And yeah, while I'm here, make sure to subscribe. I'll probably tell you that again later on.
Have you missed part 1 on shortcrust pastry doughs? If so, click the link here to catch up first.
Right, so this is the pastry that I made yesterday, and it's been in the fridge, but you don't want to work pastry as soon as it comes out of the fridge because it will be too hard and then it will crack up. So take it out, let it come up to temperature. You want plenty of flour on that work surface. Another tip is if you give it a little tap like this, that will also help things to sort of loosen up, and you're less likely to have those cracks once you start rolling it out. So we're going to roll from the middle to the outside like that. And you don't ever want to go over the edge because that will squish the edge and then you'll end up with an edge that's much thinner than the rest. So try and keep it in that middle area there when you're rolling. Just a light touch and you keep it moving.
Sometimes pastry can crack up when you come to roll it out. It could be it's still too cold, but usually the reason for this is it's not got enough liquid. Fear not, there are 2 solutions. If you have time, crumble up the dough again and add a couple sprinkles of water and then reform the dough as before. This will need a good rest again for at least an hour in the fridge. The second option is to roll out the pastry between 2 sheets of paper. This will make it easier to handle and less flour is needed too, which can aggravate the situation.
If it starts to stick to the surface a bit, just lift it up and pop a bit of flour like that underneath. And the same on top. Okay. How are we doing size-wise? This is my dish. So this is a 25 centimeter, 10-inch porcelain dish. It's still a bit on the small side. I want it to overlap a little bit. There we go. That is good. All right. So that's almost 35 there, which is what in inches? About 13, 14 inches. So you want to have that excess to go over and you'll see why. Now to put it into the dish, I'm going to roll it up, place my dish down in front and then roll it back down, just over like that. Then you want to come in, lifting up the side and bring it down into the corner, okay? Lifting up, bring it down right into the corner of the dish like that. If you push down, you'll end up breaking a hole. The pastry is actually quite fragile, so you've got to treat it quite lightly. Okay, now you see how this dish has got these waves in the side. The pastry needs to be right down into those waves. So with your fingers, you can push that right in like that. If you have a gap behind it, it will encourage it to shrink when it's baking, and you're also more likely to get like air bubbles. So it's good to really get into the nook there. Okay, if you've had a bit of difficulty rolling out and you've got a gap or it's broken, don't stress. Whatever you do, don't stress. It's not the end of the world. All you have to do is get a bit of water or milk on a brush and brush the area that's missing. And then where you've got some excess dough, you can cut that off and put it on and just press it into place like that. Make sure it's really well sealed together and that should be okay. All right, now what we're going to do, we're going to leave that over the edge like that. You could trim it off, But I think for this blind baking stage, it's better to leave it on. So I'm just going to pierce the base lightly with a fork so that you don't get any air bubbles. Like that. Okay, now our dough is ready. It needs to rest. Yes, it's already rested before, but we've been working those glutens to prevent it from shrinking too much when it bakes. You give it another rest. Now, ideally, this would be an hour or 2 hours in the fridge, but a little hack is that you can pop it in the freezer for 15 minutes and that does the job. Okay, while that's resting, I'm going to turn the oven on so it starts to preheat, and then we'll start working on the rest of those ingredients. So for blind baking, you want it to be quite high. It needs to be around 200 Celsius, 400 Fahrenheit. Right, so next stage is we want to line this pie crust. It's actually much firmer now. It's almost frozen, not quite. A bit like with the pastry, you get it right down into those corners. And then we're going to line this with baking beans. Now these are just some old beans that we've had in the kitchen. We just use them for baking, and you can get ceramic ones, other versions. I'll put a link in the description below. You just want to have plenty of beans all the way around like that, and that will help keep everything in place as it bakes. And then this is going to go into that preheated oven for about 15 minutes.
During the blind baking, it's the perfect time to prepare your filling.
All right, so the dough has been in there for about 15 minutes now. Put these just to one side. Now, as you can see, we've got the edge has got some color on, but in the middle, it's still soft. So that needs to cook a little bit more. So probably 5 or 10 minutes back in the oven, but I'm going to turn it down now to 180. All right, out of the oven, and it's cooled down for about 5 minutes, just so that I can handle it. Now, all this pastry around the edge here, we're not going to want in the final thing. So either you trim it before you put it in the oven, or you trim it after. Now, the benefit of trimming it after is it holds the pastry into position and it's less likely to shrink. The benefit of trimming it before is that you can make that edge look nice with some patterns, as you've probably seen me do in some other videos. So I'm going to trim it. What I find is best to do that is a bread knife, because it's got sort of slight serrated edges, and you just want to gently do that across the edge. And turn it as you go. Just really gently. See, it does have a few little cracks there, so you don't want to aggravate it even more.
I said no soggy bottoms. And blind baking is the best way of avoiding these. For an extra guarantee though, after the second bake, brush the almost cooked case with egg wash and return it to the oven for 5 minutes. This creates a kind of waterproof barrier for those extra wet fillings.
Right, okay. And now you know how simple it is to make homemade pastry. And it's just so worth it. So much better than anything that you would buy in the shop. This is what I made with the sweet flan pastry. And it's called an 18th century tart. It's also the subject of my next video. So if you want to see how I made it, then make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you found this helpful for these types of cooking tips and tricks, then give me a thumbs up and also share with your other foodie friends. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Keep cooking.